Overnight, we found out some heartbreaking, but also heartwarming news. It really depends on how you look at these things. We found out that Sister Jean from Loyola Chicago has passed away at 106 years old. What a life, what a legacy. We want to bring in Father Gilger. We appreciate you so much for your time. We've asked you, you're so nice, we asked you twice today.
I'm happy to be here with you.
You know, we were talking to you earlier just about some of your memories of Sister Jean. If people didn't hear you then, what's maybe something that sticks out as you it says, you know what, people probably didn't know this about her?
Just one of my personal memories is a few years ago, I'm a member of the sociology department here at Loyola. And a few years ago, we had our annual Christmas party, our holiday party. And one of the faculty members is also a graduate of Loyola. He went to undergrad here. And so he knows Sister Jean very well and likes her very much and invited her to come and join us for our Halloween party, or excuse me, our holiday party. And so she rolls in her wheelchair, says hi to everyone, spends time, has a couple sips of wine. All of these things are really wonderful. Telling jokes, being funny, offering prayers, holding our hands. That's kind of how I remember her. And I think my students are going to remember her in the same way. Of course, we've seen her in public and doing all kinds of important things representing the university and the city of Chicago really well. But I'm going to remember those small moments where she was herself, funny, laughing, committed to this institution.
I absolutely love it. And again, that's a side of her that we did not get to see. It just humanizes her that much more. Talk about the basketball runs, though, that really introduced her to the nation at large.
Yeah, so we all remember that 2018 was the big run. So that's just a few years ago. She was already almost 100 years old by that point. And she, of course, was well known for offering in her prayers that time, but for years before and afterwards, little scouting reports in her prayers. I'm not sure if she was scouting the other team for God or for the players, but she would do all those kinds of things and got to be a real wonderful representative of the university. But I want to say one thing about her. It's that at an institution, a Jesuit Catholic institution like Loyola, we really rely on the long-term commitment of good people, women and men, religious and priests like myself or like Sister Jean, but also many good lay people, many of whom are not Catholic. We rely on their long-term commitment to these kinds of institutions. And Sister Jean was such a role model for me in that way, in my own commitment to Loyola and to Chicago, because she was here at this institution at Mundelein before that since 1961. So all of
Wow.
these years, just here day by day doing the work. So we know her for her from her fame in 2018, but how many years had she been committed to the students of this institution before that, just taking care of their hearts? That's how really I think she would want to be remembered.
Yeah, and it spoke volumes. Listen, even if we love our jobs, most of us have already started thinking about retirement or look forward to it. She didn't step away from Loyola until this year. Really, like in the last 6 weeks, if I recall correctly. Uh, that speaks volumes.
Yeah, she was very committed. Yeah, she could be like many of us, like me, a little bit of a stubborn person for the good or for bad and for good. All of those things are true. We love her as she was. But though that commitment, that stubbornness that she could have also meant that she was really ferocious in caring for people and in being persistent. So the stubbornness is, maybe that's true, but what also is true is that her heart was really filled by being around these young people, and she gave to them and received from them. She wasn't just somebody who was in, lecturing and haranguing, but she got up every morning and really tried to live her life, as her book says, wake up with purpose.
Yeah.
And she wrote this beautiful book, some of you may have seen, an autobiography with Seth Davis a few years ago, just talking about how she tried to wake up every morning, dedicating herself to the good of the world around her. Of course, for her, for me, that's because she really loved Jesus. She loved the church. And I know I was talking to one of my Jesuit brothers who was with her in these days as she was dying. She was praying the rosary, praying with him in these last days. So I know she felt very comforted by all the people who took very good care of her. One of those people taking care of her was our Lord.
Yeah, and I that goes back into my initial conversation about, or my initial statements about, it kind of depends on how you look at it, because if you are of faith, you believe that she is in a better place, and that she's earned that place that she is in now. You know, 106 years old, that mentality that she had is vastly different from the youth that she interacted with on a regular basis. What do you think she imparted on them, and maybe some things that they imparted on her?
You know, I think one of the things that she did most importantly, most persuasively, was that she was a patient listener with these young people. So I know there were students of mine just in these last few years who would just swing by her office in the student center, the Damon Student Center here at Loyola. And she had an office right on the ground floor, right outside one of the dining halls, and was very happy to see them when they came by. But why did they go see her? Because lots of young people do not go see other older people, even people who are older than them like me, much less like her, where, 80 years older. They went to see her because they knew they would be paid attention to, taken care of. So yes, she had wisdom to impart, the wisdom from her life, the wisdom from her prayer, but she only offered that after having really listened to the young person who was in front of them. That's part of the reason they loved her so much, that, or why the bobbleheads that so many of us here at Loyola have of her are actually memorable, because this is somebody who we knew listened, hopefully the way the Lord listens to us.
Yeah, can you talk about the fact that a lot of people, like, once they get some fame or some social media fame, whatever it may be, they change. She, was beloved across the country, and it definitely seemed like she just continued to be Sister Jean.
Yeah. And she was somebody who, and I mean this in utter compliment, somebody who liked to be in the spotlight. And that's a good thing, because she used the spotlight for the right kinds of things. But you could see sometimes she would arrive there and she would be feeling, not so great or not so well. But then she said, no, now I have a time when I can offer something to all these people around, saying a prayer before the basketball games here at Gentile Arena, or being with other people at a particular event where she came to graduations, to commencements, to all the beginnings and ending ceremonies of our academic year at the university. People are always very happy to see her. Not just the basketball players, but also myself would give her little fist bumps as we went by on the entrance procession line. But I remember one little thing some of you will probably remember as well, when during the 2021 NCAA tournament run, she got one of these tweets at her saying, "Sister Jean doesn't want all this smoke." I think it was from a basketball player at Syracuse University. And she was not afraid of being in the spotlight there, and tweeted right back at this young man, of course funny but respectful, "I want all the smoke." And then all of that, from Dwayne Wade all the way down, all these other famous players are like, yeah, Sister Jean gets it. She likes being right in the heat, the fire of the battle for the right kinds of reasons.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. We are in troubling times for a lot of people, and I think that when you see someone at 106 years old, and someone of faith who passes away, you wonder the younger generation that may struggle with what's going on around them, and seeing someone of that age pass away. How do you help young people reconcile and maybe get to a stage of a Sister Jean one day? How do you help them to navigate the times that we're in and stay strong in the faith like that?
Yeah, the kind of sociological work I do, in addition to being a priest, I teach in the sociology department, and a lot of my research is on these kinds of things, trying to understand the social world, right, the culture in which young people are growing up today. And I want to say a couple things about that. One is that I'm very sympathetic, and I really love the students that are in front of me. I really care about them. I'm sympathetic for the challenges that they're undergoing. One of those challenges is that I think for young people today, even different than it was for me, being in college 20 years ago, they feel that the world is so much less stable than I felt it was. And because it's stable, they don't feel like they can lean on it or rely on it. And a lot of institutions, including the Catholic Church, that should have supported them and helped them to trust the world around them, have not done so. And so that lack of stability from the institutional level, the macro level, all the way down to their micro level gets inside of them. And so it can inhibit the kind of commitment that can lead to a 60-year commitment like it does for Sister Jean here at this university. But that doesn't mean that the hearts of these young people are any less desirous of seeking the good or of making long-term commitments. So one of the things I try to think about with them in the classroom and outside of that, and liturgies and in classes, is that how I can help them understand what their deep desires are to make a commitment for themselves and for the world so that they can give the same kinds of gifts that Sister Jean gave. And we have lots of Muslim students here at Loyola. They can give that in a Muslim way. And we have lots of Protestant students here. They can do that in their way. And we have lots of Catholic students here, and we can do it in a Catholic way here. So I really can see that desire alive in their hearts. I am hopeful that in the midst of the challenges that these young people face, that they can also come to the courage and the conviction to really make a difference in their own lives and for the future of our very troubled world.
And for so many, Sister Jean, maybe they didn't know Loyola before Sister Jean. Maybe they found Loyola and maybe started to research more about what you all offered in terms of academics after seeing Sister Jean. What do you hope that they found? And, that this attention that came from seeing Sister Jean, this wonderful senior woman who just had a vibrant spirit about her, when they saw her and then they said, oh, Loyola, let me find out more about Loyola. What do you think they found?
What I really hope they found is the same kind of thing they found in the person of Sister Jean. So an institution that has a clear sense of its own mission and identity. We're a Jesuit and a Catholic institution, and we want to do good in the world in this way. But we're also an inclusive and a plural institution, and we make space for the people who come. And I think that they found that same kind of experience when their own encounters with Sister Jean. So we both want to have a clear sense of really who we are and what we are about, while saying, our arms are open, and we hope that you can come and find a way. These young people can come and find a way to belong within this place. Belonging is such an important word in these unstable times, and I think Sister Jean helped Loyola to be a place where people can feel that they belong. And I'm really trusting that that same kind of belonging will be able to continue, even though she'll have to do it in another state of being now, praying for us from heaven.
Father Patrick Gilger, we so appreciate it. I could talk to you all day because you're just such a light, and we appreciate you enlightening us about Sister Jean, who was just tremendous and left such a wonderful legacy of positivity. Thank you.
Very happy to be with you.